Hello, I'm Orla Allen, medium and author, and if you haven't already, please go back and watch my previous videos. Moving on, we have the Major Arcana, and the first card in the Major Arcana is the Fool card. Now, the Fool card comes forward to say that something's come full circle. We are moving into a new phase, we're moving into a new situation, and it kind of feels like we have this youthful vigour. That the energy that's within the page cards, within this Fool card. But we're moving forward. It's a new journey. It's a new beginning. It's a fresh start. And as much as there's uncertainty, as much as there's risk in what we're about to do, we have the blessing of the sun behind us, which means that we have the energy and we have the vitality to push forward with it. And we also have this kind of element, this energy round about him here, where he's not really looking at where his feet are going. He's just determined to move forward. So that's quite a positive thing to have within this card. Then we have the Magician, and the Magician comes forward to create the magic in your life, whatever that might look like or whatever you may want that to be. He has all four elements on the table. He's got the swords, the cups, the pentacles and the wands, which means that he can create magic in any of those areas. There is also flowers up around the top and flowers at his feet, and flowers represent the growth and the kind of advancement that we're looking for. So the Magician is the one for manifesting, and the Magician is the one for creating your future. The High Priestess is the one who is the knowledge. She is the intuition. She is everything that's psychic about tarot. She is the one who has the knowledge and the information. But there is an element behind her of the unseen or the unknown or the uncertain. Then we have the Empress. And the Empress is one of the few cards in the deck which have all this luxury around about her. So she's got cushions, she's got throws, and you can see that she's got all the stars in her crown, which means that she's got the knowledge of astrology. She's got the knowledge, the kind of psychic knowledge, and she's got the comforts of having all this knowledge and what that leads to for her. The Emperor is kind of like the male version of the Empress, but where she's in touch with all her emotions, he's not so much. So he's more head-centered, he's more head-focused, and he's more about the material than she is. But he does have all this knowledge and information and wisdom, so he's able to do what he needs to make things happen. I'm also drawn to the fact that there's a 4 at the top, which talks about him being more stable and him being bringing with him more stability. Then we have the Hierophant. Now, the Hierophant is a religious figure. There's a 5 above his head, so we're at a crossroads. We have a decision that we need to make. There can be the element with this of where you're having to make a spiritual or a religious decision, and perhaps what you want to do or how you're going to progress goes against your religious or your kind of spiritual beliefs. I do feel like there's the element of the 2 gentlemen at the bottom hanging on his every word. So there's somebody within your life who is influencing your decisions, and perhaps that's where the religious element comes from. Perhaps it is a priest or a minister or something, or perhaps it's just a person who you look up to and who you respect the opinion of, and you don't want to disappoint. Lover's card is the coming together of 2 people. So this would be the card that would be marriage. This would be the card that would be a new relationship. But there's also the Adam and Eve, the yin and yang with this card, where one person's more into the relationship than the other person is. So yeah, there's an awful lot of information in that card. But it's about wanting to create this future, wanting to create this life for ourselves. Then we have the Chariot. If you look at the Chariot's ready to go. He's got all his fancy clothes on. He's got his crown on. He's got all his information because the stars are round about him. So he has the knowledge of astrology. He has the knowledge and wisdom of everything he needs to. He's got the castle behind him. So he's already kind of almost fulfilled his goals. But his 2 little Sphinxes at the front are just sitting down, they're not moving. So this card very much talks about where you're ready to take the next step, your client's ready to take the next step, and for whatever reason you're holding yourself back, you're not actually moving forward. You're ready to go, but just something's holding you back. Then we have the Strength card, which is a beautiful card. So it talks about where you have the strength, you have the wisdom, you have the knowledge, you can move forward. And there's also this element with this card where it's almost like the lion is hurting and she's trying to heal him. So I feel like the situation is maybe perhaps quite negative and you're not sure if you're able to move forward. You're not sure if you have the strength to do what you need to. So perhaps there's been some troubled times before this. And this card's coming forward to say, do you know what, you can. You've got this. You're more than capable of this. And maybe that's all the person needs to hear. But that's what the Strength card means. Then we have the Hermit card. Now, the Hermit card is very much about taking yourself out of a situation, kind of going into like a meditative state, getting away from people, taking some quality time to see what is going on in your own head, to check in with yourself and to make sure that the progress you're making or the journey that you're on is where you need to be or where you want to be. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune. Now, the Wheel of Fortune tends to talk about where we're spinning the Wheel of Fortune. We're seeing where fate's going to land. We're not taking control of our situation. We're not taking control of where we're going. So where I've talked about manifesting cards, this is kind of like where we want a good future, we want positivity, but we're not saying what it is we want. We're not deciding what it is. We haven't even thought about what it is that we want. We're just going, right, okay, well, what have you got for me? We're not saying, right, okay, this is what I want. And I think this is a mistake that most people make, especially people who come looking for tarot cards readings, is they want you to tell them that they're going to win the lottery. They want you to tell them they're going to get a new job. They want to tell you to tell them that you're going to have a new relationship. And that's where the Wheel of Fortune card is. They're not taking control of their own situation. They're not deciding what it is that they want. They're not applying for the job when they know they have to. And this is why we also have the cards, like the Fated cards, where situations are having to force their hand with things. So the Wheel of Fortune is very much where we're just spinning the wheel and seeing where it lands. But the trouble with that card is it can land good or it can land bad. There's no control over where it lands if you don't take control over your own life. Then we have the Justice card. The Justice card's very much talking about where the scales are being tipped back in someone's favour, where the situation's been righted, where something hasn't been right up to this point. And this card comes forward to say, do you know what, we're moving into a different phase and things are going to be more balanced. They're going to be more straightforward. They're going to be how they should have been from the start. Then we have the Hanged Man, and the thing about this is he's not been hanged from his neck, he's been hanged from his foot. And if he was hung from his neck, his air would be cut off and he'd be dying, but he's not. He is hanging from his foot, which means all of the blood's rushing to his head. It's maybe not ideal, you kind of don't want to be hung upside down, but it's not what it appears. So this is very much talking about where somebody is letting their mind play tricks on them, letting their mind control their situation, when in actual fact, they need to just reevaluate the situation and see it for what it actually is, not what they think it is. The Death card talks about the end of something, the death of something, but it's not the death of a person. People often think that it's the death of a person. It's not. It's the end of something. It's where something's completely flogged and dead. So it could be where somebody loses their job. It could be where somebody loses their relationship. But the Death card is about change. It's about leaving stuff behind and moving forward. So it's actually a highly positive card. And I quite welcome the Death card in my spreads for me, because it means there's big change and better things are coming. And it's almost like it's been, the better times are being forced to come to you because of this card. Then we have Temperance, and Temperance is very much about dipping the toe in the water, about, you know, if you look at the water in our 2 cups, it's going from one cup to the next cup and back again. There's an element with this angel that kind of feels like Gabriel, so there's communication with this card. There's an awful lot of growth in this card. We're making changes, we're moving forward. But we're doing so at our own pace. We're taking we're taking our time at it. And things are starting to progress. You know, there's a wee bit of growth on the right-hand side. We're on a journey. You can see the path up the left-hand side. The mountains aren't particularly tall. There's sun at the end of it. So this is a very good card. But the toe in the water and the water being a little bit rippled would suggest that emotions are a little bit kind of distraught at the moment. But there is much more positivity out there. Then we have the Devil card. Now, the Devil card, I always think of the devil's in the details. So it's about crossing your I's and dotting your T's and making sure everything's exactly how you expect it to. It's about elements that are unforeseen. It's about where you don't know all that's going on and where you need to make sure that you've covered all your bases.